Hey everyone, it's March 19th and I snuck out of work a little bit early just to see if I could come out, put some of the pollen sub on the bees. I made up the pollen sub yesterday. I'll leave the link to that video up here somewhere in the corner. And just come out to check on the bees and see what they're doing. Today's been a really nice day. We're gonna have a few nice days for the next couple of days and then we're going to cool off again, but that's pretty typical for us around here. And that's why I do some pollen sub right now, is we're going to start getting pollen, but we tend to have a few warm days, then a couple of cold days, and those cold days the bees can't get out and fly and collect any pollen that's out there. So I like to give them some pollen sub this time of year. It kind of evens those times out when they can't get out and fly. So that's what I'm doing today. As you can see, the bees are out flying. These couple of hives are just going nuts. Finally get some warm weather and get them out and let them fly. And they are taking advantage of it. And I can see a little something coming in. Yeah, there is pollen coming in. So that's good to see. Looks like they're all pretty much flying in this yard. Those 5 all are for sure. Let's see what these are doing. Oh yeah, and they are bringing in pollen. And I can see the other two over there. I can see those are both coming in. So these are all alive, doing well. So let's give them some pollen sub. And the other thing I'll do is I'll pull off the tar paper. And since I run mediums, most likely the bottom medium box is completely empty on these hives. And I like to pull it out if I can. If it's completely empty and there's not any bees in it, then I'll pull that bottom box out and take it back to my shop and kind of go through it a little bit. This gives me a chance to kind of cull through some of the frames and and get rid of anything that's not looking very good. And then after I do that, I'll bring it back out and throw it back on top of the hive over a queen excluder. So this is a good time for me to kind of cull out some of my old nasty comb and refresh it with some either foundation and let the bees draw it out, or if I've got some drawn comb, I'll drop that in there too. All right, got the tar paper off. The other thing I'm going to do is start separating these boxes just a little bit. And you can see this hive that I thought was dead last time is just using this upper entrance, this hole in my shim, but the bees are definitely bringing something in. So it is on. Let's dig into this hive right here and see. So this has got some extra insulation on it. And the bees are up here just chewing away on it. All that extra sugar I gave them a month ago, this is what's left. So they've eaten better than half of it. And my guess is there's not much down below. So most of the bees are up in the top box, but I've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 4 frames of bees from what I can see down here. So they're doing pretty good. Here's that pollen sub I mixed up yesterday, and it's nice and thick. It's thickened up just perfect. It's just exactly the way I like it. Give them a pollen sub. I like to poke some holes in it Put that right there. Let's see what we've got here. These gals haven't eaten much. They've eaten about a quarter of it. It's all. So they've still got food. And I can tell from the weight of this hive when I moved it that they've still got plenty of food. Good cluster of bees here. That's exactly what I want to see right now. Maybe I'll pull a frame, see if they're raising any brood. Huh. That's all pollen. Nothing but pollen on that frame. It's the exact same color as what they're bringing in. I wonder if they've been able to bring that much pollen in already. Well, I still have a queen. I can see eggs and larvae. They're definitely raising brood. Yep, we're off and running. Definitely seeing eggs, definitely seeing larvae. A little bit of capped brood, so this hive will need to be knocked back a little bit. We definitely have plenty of bees in this hive. Thought I'd just show you this last hive. This is pretty much how all my hives have looked, except for maybe one that wasn't quite this full. But if you can see, this is why I put sugar on them. There's not much left. They've eaten through all their honey stores. They've eaten through the sugar I gave them at the beginning of fall. They've eaten through the sugar that I gave them about a month and a half ago. And they are just consuming everything. But here's what's interesting for our area. It's early in the season, and they are bringing in pollen. But that right there is drone brood. This hive is already raising drones, which is rather spectacular for our area for this time of year. But they're doing it, so could be an early swarm season this year. All right, I'm to my next yard and checking hives. I've pulled off the tar paper, spread the hives apart. I can tell just from hefting the hives a little bit which ones are light. This one out here on the end was really light. They were out of sugar, but this one next to it still had plenty and still have a little bit of honey up in the top box. So it's still a little bit of sugar from this one and give it to that one. I still have the rest of these to check, but so far they're looking pretty good. They're all flying. Everybody's looks pretty happy. Hopefully we can get through this pretty quick. So let's get into this hive and see how they're doing. This is one of the hives I was a bit concerned about last fall because they were light on stores. Let's see where they're at now. Pretty well empty. So still light on stores, and they're going to need some food. I have to see if I can steal some from one of these other hives and get them by for a week. Let's see how many bees are in here. Well, for being light on stores, they're not really light on bees. So I suspect the top box looks just the same. So they look okay, they just need some food. And that's typical this time of year. We see this, I see this all the time. March is just, can be really hard on the bees. And they're trying to brood up. They're trying to They are trying to make that spring turnover happen, where all the winter bees get replaced by summer bees, and in order to do that, they need lots of resources, and if they don't have the resources, they can't do that. So these guys need some food. They're too light. I'll give them a pollen patty, and I may have to be back out here in a day or two and give this hive some sugar because they don't have enough to get them through. They need the pollen to convert to brood, but they also need the carbohydrate in order to do that as well. So let's turn around and see what this hive looks like now. I'll get you to stay there. Let's see what these ladies are looking like. They are absolutely empty. So I need to get some food on these gals. They are going to be hungry. And here we go again. That's drone brood. Good population, but another hive wanting to raise drones already. Not sure how I feel about that. Let's see what these two hives look like. I suspect this one's got a little bit of sugar left just from the weight. I suspect these are looking pretty good from the activity on the front of the hive. Yeah, they've still got a little bit of stores in there, so that looks pretty good. No shortage of bees there at all. I'm going to have to empty my in-hive feeders before I can use them. They've deposited some of the shreds of paper in there. Those ladies look pretty good. These all look really good. So these 6 hives here, they're all live. They're all looking good. They're all raising brood. Everything looks pretty good, but they're light on stores. So I've given some pollen patty. They're going to need some sugar though. Either dry sugar, syrup. I'll probably switch to syrup at this point. But I'm excited. So far, everything looks really good. Okay, I've got one more yard to get through. Hopefully I can do this. I've got about 30 minutes of daylight left, and then it'll be done for the day. So I want to get through these if I can. Hopefully I can get through them all. Just doing the same thing, pull the tar paper off and give them a pollen patty and check for stores. So I got some of the work done in this yard. Didn't know if I was going to get through it all, and I didn't. Lost the sun too quickly, and it cools off pretty quick this time of year. So I didn't get everything done I wanted to. I got tar paper pulled off, and I just popped the lids just enough to see if they've got enough sugar, and they're all looking pretty good. So they'll be okay for another couple of weeks on sugar. But I need to get back in here in the next day or two and drop the pollen sub on them, and then I can really check and see how they're doing and what they look like. And I'll give you an update when I get that done. Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, March 20th. And last night tried to get in and get these last hives done here in this yard, and lost the sunlight before I got through. So all I did was pull off the tar paper, and now I'm back today we're going to go through these hives. I think they're all alive, but I'm looking at one right now that I'm kind of going, I don't see much activity going on there, so I may have one dead one here. But other than that, I think they're all alive, and we're just going to get into them again and get these pollen patties on them and see how they're doing. Well, I get checking these hives, and that one that I was afraid might not be alive is definitely dead. Let me flip you around here and show you what I'm seeing. There's almost no bees in the hive at all. So here's the hive. There's almost no bees left anywhere in it. There's a few dead ones here and there, but and they've got honey. They still had stores. That wasn't their problem. Let me pull this frame right here. This is a telltale sign of what happened. I think the hive either lost their queen or she went drone layer, and they just dwindled and dwindled until they had no population left, and they finally just died. So occasionally that happens. So somewhere along the line in the winter, she either went drone layer or the queen died, and that's about as big as the cluster was. You can see that it looks like they tried to raise another queen right there, but so maybe late in the year they lost their queen. But there's one casualty for the year. Out of the 38 I've started with this winter, started with last winter, I've lost 3 now, and hopefully that's the last of them. But occasionally it happens, so even to the best of us, we lose a hive now and again. It's just the way it is. All right, we have these checked. So we had the one dead out, and then this hive right here is doing really well. It looks like the rest of them that I've been checking in my other yards, but these other 6 here, they're not looking quite like my other yards are. I'm seeing more like somewhere between 5 and maybe 9 frames of bees. So they look okay, but not spectacular. Of course, except for that one, looks really good, and they still have lots of honey left for them, so they look really good. But the rest of them are, mediocre. But we'll get them going and get them fed up, and they've still got plenty of sugar, and most of them still have honey in their boxes, so they're going to be okay for a little bit. And hopefully giving them that pollen sub will give them the kickstart they need and get them going, and hopefully we can get them looking good. I struggled with this yard last year, and so these bees, all of these hives, again, except for that one, for some reason that's been a good hive for me. The rest of them have all struggled in this yard, and I'm not quite sure why. But they've really quite struggled, so I'm gonna pay a little more attention to them this year and see if we can't get them going and make them productive again. The hives are looking good. Looks like they're getting that spring turnover to happen. I think it's early this year, but all in all looks really good. I'm excited. It's go time for the bees.